My husband drained our accounts and wants to kick the kids and I out of the house in a week. So hi, they told me in r/relationships that this is illegal and that you guys would have advice. We're in Ohio, I need a divorce lawyer. On Wednesday, I bought him an effing Christmas present. On Thursday, I found out he gave me an STI. On Friday, he admitted he had been cheating. Yesterday, he drained our accounts. He says that I need to be out of the house by Christmas Eve. We have 4 kids, 8, 6, 5, and 2. I haven't worked since the oldest was born. Our relationship has been bad since before my youngest daughter was born, as we hadn't meant to get pregnant. This week, I tested positive for an STI. I investigated, confronted him, and he admitted it. We had a huge fight, and he stormed out of the house. Yesterday, my credit card was declined at the grocery store, and I couldn't get cash. He has emptied all of our accounts. I was in charge of the bills and finances. I know exactly how much was in our checking, savings, and money market account. He's changed his password for his 401k. He didn't respond to my frantic texts all day, but just sent me an email saying I had a week to get myself and my kids out of his house, and I had better get a job or go back to my parents if I expect to feed them. We bought the house together before the kids were born, and I paid half of the down payment. I have no money or credit cards, so I can't even get a lawyer. I am sitting here staring at a Christmas tree, crying, and wondering if I'll have to return my children's presents for food. I have no idea how this happened. I live 2 hours away from my family, so even if I got a job, I'd have to pay for daycare. Should I sell my wedding ring and engagement rings? Do I make a resume and apply for a job in my old field of accounting, or just get a job at Starbucks or McDonald's? Can he do this? And now in the comments, man, your attorney is going to wreck him over this. That much bad faith is going to make a judge a lot less sympathetic to any arguments he makes in his favor when determining custody and the division of assets. Do not move out until your attorney tells you to, or a judge orders you out. That house is likely as much yours as it is his, and if so, he cannot evict you for any reason. If you have the money, get an attorney now and start the process of getting an emergency support order. He doesn't get to leave you high and dry like that. If you can't afford an attorney, or if he's taken all the money you might use, call around anyways or get in touch with legal aid. The good news? In most every state, if not all, what he's doing is against state statute. The bad news, as we're in a holiday period, unless you find a lawyer who knows a judge and can convince them to give you an emergency hearing, nothing can be done about this until likely after Christmas. I would definitely start looking for lawyers this week. You do not have to leave when he says you do. He can call the police, he can say his lawyers say that you have to leave, but unless he has a court order giving him the home, you have the right to be there. In fact, if you want to stay in the home after divorce, I highly suggest you do not leave. Unless you fear for your life or the safety of your children, which is a different story. If the house was bought during your marriage, you likely have some property rights in it. Call the police and report any threats that he makes against you. And OP says, I just realized that we were going to go to his parents' house for Christmas. I need the kids to go to sleep so I can have some wine. This is your crisis time. This is the worst part. But get this, he's going to end up the poor one after the judge forces him to pay not just in order to divide your assets, but also because of the damages he's inflicting on you and the kids. Emotional and financial damages which he has left a very clear electronic trail of. In the short term, you absolutely do not have to leave, and will eventually get access to the money that was in the joint accounts, and likely an equal split of the equity in the house. In the very short term, I would recommend getting a credit card in your name alone, or asking for help from your parent, putting it into a new account that is only in your name at a totally new bank, to tide you over until your court hearing. The court can also order temporary alimony to help you pay your legal costs. Long term though, 8 years of marriage is kind of short for lifetime alimony and spousal support. He may have to pay for a while, but eventually you are going to have to return to work. So look into programs that will help you in that goal. He will probably be asked to pay until you complete such a program. And OP says, we have been married for 12 years. I've been out of work for 8. I have no problem going back to work. In fact, it was him that insisted that I stay at home after our first 3 kids. I was planning to go back to work, but I got pregnant with my daughter. I don't even need to stay in this house. I would downsize if I had to, but he has to pay for daycare. And now onto the update. First, I want to say that I logged out of this account that evening and didn't come back until now, and I was blown away by all of the people offering food, gift certificates, or just goodwill, and I started crying again. I will respond to each of you individually. So to recap, my soon-to-be ex is a cheating ass, and he panicked and tried to erase his family. The update. This all happened on a Sunday, so there wasn't a lot I could do right then. I put the kids to bed and called my mum and cried. Then I called my mother-in-law, who was horrified. My in-laws came over that night with $200 in cash and a check for much more. My father-in-law didn't say much, but he did fix my bathroom door, which is how he shows affection, and muttered that he would fix this. I opened a new checking account at a new bank, thanks for this advice, with the check that my in-laws gave me. I opened a new credit card in my name. My mother deployed a niece to help with childcare for the next week, and I called in a lot of childminding favors, and with the cash my in-laws gave me, I was able to pay the babysitter while I worked this out. I met with 2 divorce attorneys. Both of them told me about what you had said, that he was legally screwed. I chose one, and we set the process in motion to get an emergency hearing. But by Tuesday, my old checking account had most of the money back, and my husband was asking to talk. On the advice of my lawyer, I took half of the checking account money and put it in my new bank, and kept records of everything. I pulled our credit reports. He has over $40,000 in credit card debt. I also found out that he received a raise last year and funneled this money out of our shared accounts. I would have figured this out when I did our taxes, and this led to him panicking and trying to erase us. Keep in mind, this asshole gave me gonorrhea. I am an accountant by trade, and I'm afraid of credit card debt the way some girls are afraid of spiders, so I was horrified about this. But my lawyer thinks it is likely that he'll have to have this debt on his own, as my name isn't on it, and it seems that most of it was spent on his side piece. We have started mediation, which he agreed to when he realized that he would need to pay for both of our divorce attorneys. My goal, which my lawyer thinks is reasonable, is to ask for alimony until I either remarry, which is not likely, or my 2-year-old is in school full-time, and to have a reasonable amount of child support until she is 18, and then we'll split college costs for all of them. When all the kids are in school, I can concentrate on getting back to work. I also plan to sell the house and buy a smaller house in a less elite section of town. The kids can share rooms, and I can live mortgage-free. So I'm heartbroken and diseased, but there is also an incredible weight that this lifted from me. Our marriage had been bad for so long, and I didn't even realize how unhappy I was, and how absent my husband was. It took my 5-year-old almost a week to realize that Daddy was gone. Everything is looking up. And now in the comments, so glad the husband is getting screwed, the dirty sod. What good in-laws Opie has and all her family rallying around her. Shows how much of a piece of crap the husband is that even his parents show up to support his soon-to-be ex. You know you done screwed up when your ex wins your parents in the divorce. It's like the time a dude that I've been dating dumped me in a way so douchey that I ended up with custody of his friend group. One guy messaged me to ask what the hell happened, so I told him, and all the friends ended up deciding they liked me better anyway. Jesus, I'm hopping mad for OP, and I don't even know her. I hope she and her kids do well, and I hope her cheating ex's dick falls off. I love the way that moron totally screwed himself. Hope things go up for OP from here. OP's soon-to-be ex has probably certainly tarnished the way his parents view him permanently. I can't imagine the feeling of finding out your son is not only a cheating piece of crap, but would do that to their own grandchildren. That is close to, if not, completely unforgivable to me. You don't F over your kids like that. What a garbage person. Men like this basically want a do-over. They leave their wives and children, take their money, and their ideal is that their families spontaneously disappear so they can continue on with their life with no baggage or reminders. They are psychopaths. I see you know my bio, Dad. Our next post is titled, How do I break up with my boyfriend for being dirty without offending him? I, 24 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 24 male, for 6 years now. We both live at home to save money. He lives in an apartment with his parents and dogs. Now, let me start by saying I love him and his family is so sweet to me, and I never would want to disrespect them or hurt their feelings, but I can't take being there anymore. When we first started dating, it was never really dirty, but in the past 3 years, it has gotten progressively worse, and they now have a very bad roach infestation. They also have flies or other bugs sometimes, but the roaches are the big problem. I've been asking my boyfriend to do something about it before I come over, and he'll tell me he cleaned, but you'd never be able to tell. The floors are sticky because of pet pee, he leaves soda cans and bottles around his room, and crumbs on the bed. The bathroom is infested with roaches, so I try not to use it. The pets also use the bathroom as their own, so it is messy. I asked him to get the sticky fly tape that you can hang that is super cheap to catch flies. He still hasn't even done that. At one point, when I went over, I would be itchy and had little red bumps on me the next day. I realized it was bug bites. Since then, I have limited the times I've come over to once every few months. He tells me he doesn't clean because he's tired. He does have a physically exhausting job, but he also gets paid well, so he could have paid someone to fix the bug problem, but he won't. He says he won't pay for an exterminator or bug killing things because it's his parents' place and not his responsibility, and he's going to move out eventually, so he'd rather save his money for his own place. But he has no timeline on when he would move out. The last straw was this weekend. I visited for the first time in months. He told me he cleaned it before I came. It wasn't clean. So I just sat at the edge of the bed while we watched a movie. Then I saw a huge roach on the wall above the bed. I asked him to kill it, and he did, but he left the roach guts on the wall, and he didn't even clean it up and throw it out. This was after I already was swatting flies. At that point, I was ready to go. I suggested we do something outside, and I could tell that he was annoyed. He said, "So you want to leave because of bugs?" I didn't want to hurt his feelings, so I tried to just say I want to go out and have fun, but he asked again, so I told him, yeah, bugs, and I want to go out and have fun. So then he takes his sweet time getting ready. I tried to be patient, but I had my coat on, and I was just standing there waiting while he was watching the movie, slowly pulling on clothes. I said, "Come on, let's go." And he snapped and asked, "Are you in a rush? You're in a rush to leave?" I just said no, but I'm just standing here in my coat, come on. He continued to take forever to put on a sweatshirt and sneakers. He had an attitude after that. The next morning at my house, I woke up and swatted my arm because I felt something crawling on me. It was smashed by the time I looked, but it looked like what I see at his house. I nearly had a breakdown because I hate bugs, plus I live with my family and I can't bring that stuff here. I spent the whole day cleaning my room, my clothes, everything. I didn't go on my phone the entire day. I didn't reply to his texts until I was ready to go to bed. He asked me if I was okay, and I said yeah because I didn't want to argue over the phone when we both needed sleep for work in the AM. I also needed time to process everything. I have been patient and I've given suggestions on ways to clean his room and kill the bugs for like 3 years now. I love him, but honestly, I just feel like he is so dirty, I don't know what to do. We already don't see each other often and book a hotel once a month to get alone time. I don't want to be intimate anymore if he is this content on being this dirty. How do I break up with my long-term boyfriend for being dirty? What do I say without being harsh? And now in the comments, being gentle with him won't help him. Rip the band-aid and just be honest. Whether he goes on to realize his problem or forever blame you, you did the right thing for him to the very end if you just stay honest. And OP says, I guess I have a problem being to the point when I know the words can hurt someone, but I will just be honest with him. This is a man who 100% plans on moving in with his significant other and is still acting like this. Because if he won't clean in these conditions, he won't clean when it's a new place. It's gross, he's gross, it is time to go. He doesn't want to grow up and you already are past him. As someone who once lived with a man, moved in with a friend and her boyfriend, it is sickening to have to live with someone who can't clean after themselves. OP, he definitely won't clean, and if y'all move in together, it'll turn into you parenting him and telling him to clean all the time. When I lived with my past roommates, the guy who was messy always left plates and utensils in his room, hated doing dishes, and always half-assed cleaned them. His shoes were always just strewn about the hallway, etc, etc. I'm thankful I didn't have to share a room with him. We also had roaches, due to living next door to the river, and his uncleanliness definitely didn't help at all. Not fun. Oh honey, you deserve a normal, clean, hygienic life where you can relax without insects crawling all over you. If you were to live with this man, your life would be reduced to servitude. I know because I spent 6 years of my life sweeping, scrubbing, wiping up slime, picking up trash, washing skid-marked laundry, and fighting clutter created day after day after day by my former partner. A man who grew up in filth like that doesn't even know what a normal home is like. His behavior when you asked him to clean shows that he will never change. My partner was fun at first, but I grew to hate him as the time I could have spent on hobbies, social events, friendships, or other worthwhile pursuits was eaten up by the never-ending fight to maintain decent living conditions. I could see, as the years passed, that my life was slipping away into despair at the constant battle against filth. Think about how you'd truly like to live and let go. And OP says, "Thank you for being so kind but realistic and sharing your story. It really helps put things into perspective. Oh my god, your description of his place made me so queasy. How on earth did you last 3 years? I would have been out of there in 3 seconds. Yeah, I definitely think you should break up with him. I mean, it is absolutely disgusting. But you do have to be honest with him. It will probably hurt his feelings, but he has a serious problem that he needs to deal with. Let us know how it goes, and for the love of God, please do not ever go back to that hellhole of an apartment." And now on to the update. So, I broke up with him before the post got as many replies as it did. I called him and let him know how I felt about the situation, and that it's best if we're just single and focus on ourselves right now. He said he understood, and it was a quick call. He texted me right after, saying he wished I told him how I felt while I was there, instead of waiting. I told him that I did tell him I was ready to go because of the bugs, and he caught an attitude. He apologized for responding the way he did, and said he was just embarrassed, especially since we already hadn't seen each other in over a month, he wanted to spend more time with me, etc. I let him know that I do feel where he's coming from, but if after 3 years he can't even bother to get a fly strip, I can't just take his word that he'll do better anymore. I blocked him, and this is the longest we've gone without speaking. 1 week today. I don't have bed bugs, plus I haven't seen another bug since that morning. I still deep cleaned my room to be sure. If anyone is curious, it was small, plus black, plus maybe grey. It kinda looked like the middle one in this picture. I only have him on Facebook for now, but we haven't spoken to each other. I told my closest friends that we broke up. I didn't tell them how bad his apartment is, just that I've asked him to do something for a few years now, and he hasn't followed through. I've been throwing away small sentimental items he has given me, like 1 to 2 a day, so far, and it's helping. My friend's birthday was over the weekend, so we went out for dinner and drinks, and it was great to go out with the girls. The timing was impeccable, I had a great time. Right now, I'm learning how to be single, especially single as an adult in her 20s. I'm the girl that's always been in a relationship in high school and college, so it's a huge adjustment. I know how to be alone, doing things on my own, being content when I'm by myself, and going out by myself, etc., but being single is completely different. Thinking of dating again seems pretty scary right now because the last standards I had going into a relationship were for teenage me. People in their 20s are often open to visiting someone's house and getting intimate soon, etc. I'm not interested in taking that route, plus feel that it comes with a big safety risk. I don't see myself dating for a while, but I'd appreciate any tips on being single, safe, and eventually dating again. And now in the comments, that sounds like a carpet beetle. It's a pest to be sure, but nothing close to as bad as bedbugs. They are not a threat to you directly because they do not bite, but the larvae can cause rashes and irritation. They are, however, a threat to your natural fibers because the larvae feed off of wool, silk, cotton, and leather. I was in non-stop relationships from 14 to 25. One of my friend's mums actually told me, "Yikes, sounds like you need to be single for a good 1 to 2 years to decompress after all that." And she was 100% right. It was a process, learning how to be comfortable, fill the silence, rely on myself, etc. The best thing that worked for me was creating and sticking to a schedule. Exercise daily for 1 hour, Sunday is laundry and house cleaning day, Monday is grocery shopping day. Tuesday I cooked dinner for myself and would invite a few friends to come over. Wednesday and Thursday nights were to myself to watch a movie and catch up on shows. And Friday and Saturday were dedicated to having plans with friends, usually organized a week in advance or more. And worst case, have folks over. Stay busy. Don't date. Don't even show interest. It's too tempting to get back into a relationship so you don't feel lonely, but it won't help you long-term being confident with yourself. Right now, work on being your best self, so in a year, you are 100% and ready to attract a partner who is also 100% their best self. Don't get into a relationship and expect to become your best self later. Self-improvement happens on your time, not someone else's. And OP says, "Sounds like your friend's mom would tell me the same thing. This is really helpful. Thanks." One thing I did was get pretty into the law of attraction. I dove into work, got ahead in my career, and it made me have much higher standards. I dated a guy a long time ago that was messy. His bathroom didn't look like it had ever been cleaned. No bugs, as we're in Michigan, and that's a less common problem in the north to have roaches. He came over to my house. I'm on the very tidy side of the scale, and he had an eye booger or something that he wiped on my couch. Done. I broke up with him over the phone a few days later and let him know that we weren't on the same page with cleanliness and organization, and the relationship wasn't a good match. We were just dating, not exclusive or anything. A little attempt to negotiate on his end, but I'm looking for someone who's the right match for me, and I don't expect someone to make big changes in themselves for me. Everyone should be free to go find the person who was already perfect for their particular life situation and what's important to them. Jesus, feels like I need a shower after reading about his apartment. There wasn't nearly enough fear of bedbugs in either of these posts. Bedbugs are awful. By the time they're big enough for you to easily see them, they are dropping eggs everywhere they walk. I'm glad they did the right thing because that mess was him as much as it was his parents, and him moving out wasn't going to fix anything. Judging from his reaction to her wanting to leave, I was afraid that he would take the breakup badly and lash out at her somehow. I'm glad that he accepted the situation and didn't try to bully her out of her decision. And that's where I'm going to end the episode today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you think of it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.